You're listening to Our Daily Show with CJ Nasello on RiverBender.com.
Then that time I went and said goodbye. Now I'm back and not ashamed to cry. Ooh, baby, here I am, signed, sealed, delivered, I'm yours. Here I am, baby. Oh.
Welcome back, 9:32, a little bit of change on this last day of August. Something that always I thought was seriously one of the coolest things of the year was seeing those weigh-ins at the Alton Expo last year for the Alton Catfish Classic. Alex Nagy is on the line now because the Catfish Classic is creeping up around the corner. How are we doing today, man?
Good, and yourself?
Oh, I'm hanging in there. You know, a little bit of a busier morning, but this is great. So there's $52,000 in payouts.
Yeah, so we always try to grow this event. You know, it's 100+% payback. So what that means is it's a $500 entry per team. You can have up to 3 anglers in your boat. So that $500 times $150,000, and we got also a $1,500 big fish sponsor from B&R Marine, and they also do a second big fish for $500. So $52,000 up for total grabs in your top 10 places. It's a lot of money, $20,000 for first place. So somebody's going to take up a nice check and have a good evening after the weigh-in.
They're eating good after that win, huh?
Oh, yeah. Hopefully they take me to dinner.
With that being said, Alex, how long has the Alton Catfish Classic been going on now?
You know, so this is our 4th annual, which it would have been our 5th annual if it wasn't for 2020 with COVID. So COVID stopped 1 year, but other than that, we've been going strong since 2019. And it continues to grow. You know, we upped the entry fee a little bit. You know, we've done some things now. We're doing some food. You know, we have a Friday night kind of captain's meeting that's kind of open to the public. You know, we'll do a Calcutta, so the public can come there. We'll announce that Friday evening where that's going to be, but the public is welcome to come. Hang out with some of the anglers, look at the boats, look at some of our vendors that it's set up. And the unique thing is, like, we do a Calcutta, so we'll auction off each team, and we'll get $5,000 to $10,000 in that. So anybody's welcome to be a part of that, where you can buy a team, and then if that team wins, then you get part of that pot. So that's a really cool thing, and helps kind of grow the event, bring people, you know, because so many people are already coming to the event to watch the weigh-in and see these big fish get pulled out. So the whole event itself is growing, and we're excited to watch it grow over the last few years.
I mean, it really has. I mean, this Catfish Classic is just ballooned into something that's really special. And to see people, I mean, Alex, you're bringing in folks from all over to come into the riverfront and utilize the Mississippi River for this tournament. What's your, you know, and I think the Calcutta, that's really cool to have that opportunity to kind of, you know, be a part of it without, you know, being in the boat, so to speak. But with that being said, what is your favorite part about fishing the Mississippi in this portion?
You know, I just had a talk the other night with Jim Lamer. He's a special biologist out of the Illinois State Fisheries, and we always talk about how this is a unique area because you have the Illinois River, you know, the confluence of the Illinois and the Mississippi, and the confluence of the Mississippi and the Missouri, and you also have, you know, the last physical dam before the chain of rocks. So what's unique as an angler fishing this area is there's a lot of industry, a lot of different types of water, current, and it's big. You take even Pool 26 above the Melprice Dam, it's a lot of water there. So there's tons of places for these big fish to hide, and as time moves on, we have a lot of new anglers getting into the sport and really figuring these catfish out. And I think that's why we're starting to see bigger catfish weigh-ins, more people getting involved, the sport growing very rapidly, and people understanding how to target these fish. Like I said, it's a very unique area. We always call the Alton area, the Alton, Illinois is known for giants, and it is because you have so many 100+ pound fish getting caught. There was one a few weeks ago by Anthony Maggart, and it continues to see these big 100-pound fish. So hopefully this year, you know, the biggest fish we've weighed in so far in the Classic, I think, was 92 pounds,
wow,
which is just shy of 100. But it's, you know, when you see that fish, pictures, videos don't do that fish justice. When you see that fish in person, when they pull it out of that live well, and you're sitting there in the crowd and water splashing out into the bleachers. I mean, that's what's really fun. And, like I said, we have a father-son from Chicago that come down just to watch the weigh-in. So that really shows you what the sport's doing, especially to bring them to Alton to show how big these fish are. And it really, now they're getting into fishing. They just bought a boat. They're starting to get into this catfishing stuff. So everything helps grow the sport, the outdoors. And like I said, it's the mecca of catfish in the Alton, Illinois area.
And on top of that, I wanted to ask you this question last year too, and I think it's so cool that a father-son duo, kind of gets their start with just witnessing some of this and doing it together. What I found fascinating was, I mean, these are, like you said, monsters. These are giants. Is there an art to getting them in the boat?
Yeah, I mean, that's why, like bass fishing is mainly a single person event, single guys in the boat. Catfishing is a little different because you have, when you're catching big fish, especially this event is a 3 fish limit. So, we'll have 160 to 200 pounds in their biggest 3 fish will probably win the event. So when you hook into a 50 to 100 pound fish, it's a fight. It's not like you just reel it in really quick, throw it in the boat. I mean, you got to have a good net man. So we always kind of joke about, who's the net man, because it takes a team to get that fish in the boat. Everything that day has to work from, the boat, everything has to work with it, the live well, keeping these fish alive, getting to where you're going, the line where it doesn't break. I mean, so many small factors come into play to make or break your day.
And that's, to me, I think those components are what fascinate me the most, because, I mean, I couldn't imagine the skill and just the experience that, is needed on some of those pull-ins. And, it's kind of transitioning back, Alex. What I thought another big thing is for the people that maybe haven't gone and seen the weigh-ins is how many different walks of life, young, old, coming in just to watch this and bringing out lawn chairs to see some of these trophies.
Yeah, like I said, that's our biggest thing. We already sell we have one boat left to sell out, and it'll always sell out. Like I said, we've sold it out 100 boats every year. But what's unique is now we're trying to really grow the spectators. So, we have some cash giveaways that we do for spectators. We really want, once that spectator comes and sees this event, they're hooked. They come back. They want to go out, with show me catfishing for a fishing trip, in the area. So it's like I said, once you see this in person, and not knocking any other fish species, but when you see a blue cat that you can put 4 grown men hands in, and they are fighting, they're slapping them in the head, slapping hats off, water splashing. It's an adrenaline rush, even just to watch it, let alone go out and catch one.
I'm telling you, Alex, that was one of the highlights of my expo coverage and the years, just until January, that start of the new year. I kept looking back going, that was really fun. And just being up close and personal and seeing all of that. And I have a couple more questions for you. And I was going to actually call you on this because I wanted your kind of take on if you ever witnessed this. A couple of months ago, there was a scandal in this fishing tournament with weights. Have you ever come across that, or is that like a one-time deal? I hate to throw this out at you. I kept thinking about this, and you were the only person I could ask.
Are we referring to up north?
Yeah.
For the walleye?
Yeah.
Yeah, so everybody always kind of jokes about that, which, that is a different species where, one of those anglers that do that so many times, you can look at that fish and say, well, that's a 6-pound fish. So when that fish comes up 8 pounds, it looks weird. I think they can feel the weights. In catfishing, which we do polygraph, catfishing is a little different because, if that fish has been in a net or been caught before, they just act different, and you really can't go hide fish or put weights in fish. I mean, you'd have to put a lot of weight in fish if you didn't have a good bag to really catch up with first place. You know what I mean? We don't really witness anything like that. Since blue cats are so, you're going to have an average blue cat from 30 to 40, and then up from there, I mean, you're going to see some big fish, and you just can't. We always joke about you have to put a bunch of lead basketballs in their bellies to get them, to weigh much more than that.
and thanks for answering that, man. I hate to put you on the spot, but I was like, man, I got to ask Alex about this because that was one of the wildest stories I think I've read in a while. And just getting back to the tournament itself, I wanted to ask you, whenever you started this 4 years ago or 5 years ago, did you envision it to be this, kind of calling card, this, really a gathering that you've developed? I mean, this is huge.
Yeah, I didn't know what it would be. I do the Twisted Cat Outdoors Tournament Series is a huge series. It's a great event, and it's travels. But when you put on like a local event like what we're doing in Alton, it brings so much more to the table because you bring the city together, local sponsors. You're bringing over 300 anglers in 100 boats from probably 25 different states. That's really doing something. And these anglers, not only do they come that one time, now it's something that's been on their bucket list. So you give them something to come to. And we raised the entry fee quite a bit because we wanted it to be really, a really high end event, really fun, really competitive. And I think that's what we really continue to grow. And as we get more local sponsors and watch this event continue to grow, we have some fish haulers coming in to help us get fish back. The Viking's going to be dock there. There's going to be a lot of things going on down there. So, that's why, these anglers can come and bring their families. Spectators are bringing their families. This has become a big event for Alton. But like you said, nothing I ever witnessed or thought it would become.
I honestly, when I first saw it, I went, this is really cool. And then just to see this develop is one of the coolest things out there because you've really just brought it all out, and it's so great to see the turnout and it keep growing. One last thing before I ask you about Twisted Cat, can you give us the times again for when we can witness the weigh-in at Calcutta, just so we're all aware?
Yeah, so Friday night, number one thing is if you have Facebook, check out Alton Catfish Classic. We'll have all the information on there from the captain's meeting, the dinner, the Saturday stuff. So Friday night from 5 to 7, probably closer to around 6 to 6:30, we'll do the Calcutta. That'll either be, most likely we're looking around the Best Western Premier, either in there or at the Sports Tap across the road, but we'll have all that information out hopefully by tomorrow night. And then Saturday, come down anytime. Like I said, there'll be food vendors, there'll be carnival rides. We'll be setting up all day. It'll be a fun event. We'll have merch for sale. Like I said, it's going to be really fun to be a part of that event, but you'll start seeing fish, I would say, around 2:30. But you want to get there at a good time because people will start filling in the seats, and you want to get a good seat. I promise you won't want to miss that for sure.
Without a doubt. And before I let you go, how's Twisted Cat doing overall?
Twisted Cat has really grown, and even with fuel prices and the economy kind of down a little bit right now, we're seeing a lot of good numbers, a lot of travelers. We have an event this weekend in Canton, Missouri, which is our annual Jack and Jill. So it's unlike all the other events, which is you can have 3 anglers in a boat, this you can have only 2 adults in a boat. And if there's 2 adults, it's got to be 1 male, 1 female, and as many kids 18 and under. This is more of a family event, $150 entry, 100% payback. So this would be a really fun event to be a part of in Canton, just up the river. And then we're going to Tulsa and New Madrid. So we had 10 events this year. But the biggest thing with Twisted Cat, and as the sport grows, this is presented by Sea Arc Boats this year. We have a $35,000 no entry fee championship, which is in Lake Ouachita, Arkansas. So when you think the sport of catfishing and you hear $35,000 championship with a no entry fee, that's saying something. So if you had asked me 2 years ago, what things would look like, I'd have never thought that. So I can't imagine 5-10 years from now how this Alton Classic will be, how Twisted Cat and the rest of the sport. Like I said, it's continuing to grow very, very fast. And once you see it, once you go out and, maybe you go out with Ryan Casey with Show Me Catfishing, that can change your outlook on the sport of catfishing.
Without a doubt. And Alex Nagy, thank you so much for giving us a call today. I'm really looking forward to the Catfish Classic and looking forward to seeing you again right here on the Riverfront, man. Okay, well, I appreciate it, and you have a good day, and we'll see you this next weekend. Absolutely. We'll take a quick break. More of our daily show comes back to you next in downtown Alton.